happening? Happy motherfucking Tuesday, and welcome again to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. Hope y'all are chilling. Hope y'all are enjoying yourselves. We're gonna be diving into this one. Um, it's gonna be pretty fucking funny for me because again, this is a question I answer a lot, and when we break down the misconceptions, you'll understand why when I give you the answer, why the answer is the way it is, or why the answer is what it is. I'll say, right? So stick around, stay tuned. We're gonna be talking about today if you should be doing more cardio, more weights, more gym, more physical activity, or if you should just eat less food in general if you actually want to change your body. All right. So stick around, stay tuned. Let me know how your day's going when you join. All right. I'm going to set up the podcast real short. And if you know the deal's this. I'll have you guys and girls sit around in, the live stream, whatever, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching this, and you'll have the opportunity to ask me questions at the end of the live stream. And then, of course, if there's enough time, I'll try my best to get back to all of your questions and your comments regarding today's topic or any topic relating to health and fitness, fat loss, things of that sort. All right. So, without wasting any time, because the podcast is set, I'll be diving into it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yo, what's good, meatheads? Hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. It's your host, IFBB Pro Matt Butale, coming at you with another topic. And today, we'll be unpacking this question. The question is, should you do more cardio, weight training, things of that sort, or eat less food if you want to burn more fat? But before we dive in, I want to let you know that you're welcome to join the Meathead Monsters Club. It's a free Facebook community where you get to meet other meatheads online. All right. Don't forget to screenshot and share this podcast to your Instagram story to show support. Believe me, it'll go a very, very, very long way, and I'd appreciate that. Also, if you'd like to ask me questions or if you'd like to tune into the live recording at any point in time to see exclusive behind the scenes footage, you can search for Matt Butale on Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, shameless plug to my YouTube channel if you want to subscribe to that. If you want to see some extra like meathead content that is almost like entirely not related to fitness. Well, it's just recorded at the gym, but most of it is just fuckery. Anyway, let's dive into the meat and potatoes. Okay, so if you've been struggling, with burning fat, you do not want to miss this. Okay, if you've been struggling with burning fat, you don't want to miss this. All right, so as I said at the beginning of the live stream recording before I started recording this podcast episode, I've had many people ask me, which one essentially is better to do when it comes to burning fat. Okay. Going on a large calorie deficit or like essentially eating less food or training harder in the gym and doing cardio and things of that sort. So, like, which one's better? Training harder, burning more calories physically, or just not consuming a lot of calories to begin with? Okay. And guys and girls, it's no secret that there are so many diets, so many training methods, and so called quote unquote tricks in the fitness industry on the internet that claim to help you burn more fat. It's easy to confuse yourself with, the misconceptions that you can find online. I'll be honest with you. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you this now. If you've ever asked yourself this specific question, right? The question, which is, should you do more physical activity or should you just eat less food? Then this is the one for you. Okay. Because I'm going to be unpacking that. We're going to be unpacking that together. And it's time for you to get your answer so you can actually pick the best method and move forward with it. All right. But before we give you this answer, before I dive in and give you this answer and break it down for you, we got to get rid of some misconceptions first. Okay. And the first misconception that I want to get rid of is, guys and girls, cardio isn't only for weight loss. Okay. So, like, the one thing that I see all the time is like people only do cardio or only want to do cardio when they are thinking of, getting ready for summer or when they just want to lose a couple of pounds or, they think cardio is like the key to just burning a whole bunch of fat. And like, while there is some merit to that, like cardio is responsible for burning fat, like we know this, it's not the only thing that's going to help you burn fat. And I'll be honest with you, it's not the most important. Okay. And also I want to change your I guess your perspective on cardio in general, because I mean, if you're only using it for weight loss, then you completely, it's either you're ignorant or you don't know that cardio itself has a lot of health benefits outside of just like helping you burn weight or burn fat, drop weight, whatever you want to call it. And honestly, it's really, really good for your cardiovascular health, hence the term cardio. Like, your heart will beat better, right? Your body will metabolize foods better and perform more efficiently. right? Because when you're burning more calories, and cardio is one of the ways to do that aside from weight training, um, your body is going to be able to be more receptive to the whole foods that you're putting into it and absorb more of the nutrients that you're able to consume from the whole foods. And it just makes your body perform better. Okay. It keeps you in a state of constantly burning fat. Like that's a good thing when you're doing cardio constantly, right? At least, I don't even want to say constantly, I'll say consistently, right? 15 to 20 minutes a day, 3 to 5 times a week. It's good for you. Like, fuck just losing weight. Forget about burning fat. It's actually just good for you. It's like your vitamins are good for you. It's good for you. It makes your body perform in a way where I guess it's as close to peak performance as possible when it comes to metabolizing and absorbing nutrients from foods. Okay, just let's get that out the way. Cardio is not only for weight loss; it actually has health benefits. Let's just lay that out there, right? So it's important to do it regardless of if you're either if you're putting on muscle, if you're burning fat, or if you're even just maintaining. It's healthy to keep cardio in your working routine when it comes to training, when it comes to just fitness, your own health. It's really, really important to have it there. So don't just tie it with fat loss, with weight loss, because that alone, that misconception is going to sort of deter you from like wanting to stick with cardio and keeping it in your life, permanently. Where that's where you'll honestly see the most benefits, not when you're only using it for fat loss. Because the moment you stop, you know what happens. Okay. And with that misconception out the way, there's also another one that I want to bring up. And this one's tied to food, guys and girls. Food is not the enemy. Okay. Like food. So you want to eat less food because you think eating less food is going to make you burn more fat. Cool. Technically, in literature, in theory, and in practice, that's actually true. If you eat less food, you're literally consuming less energy, less calories. And if you're consuming less calories, that alone will help you burn weight. Like aside from doing cardio and aside from doing any workouts or things of that sort, like literally eating less is going to make you lose weight. Cool. We understand that. But food isn't the enemy here. The main enemy in my opinion is your habits around food or your relationship with food. Again, guys and girls, food gives you energy. Okay, it helps you build, and ultimately, it also. Let me just rephrase that. It helps you build muscle, and ultimately helps you burn fat. Okay, if you eat good food, if you are abiding by your macronutrients, it's going to benefit you. Okay, and if you are doing so with respect to whatever caloric requirements that you have, that's great because now you're burning fat. Okay, you're building muscle, all right? And the more muscle you have on your frame, the more fat that your body actually burns while it's rested, which means you're burning more fat with less effort, less energy, right? You don't have to actually go out to burn the same amount of fat and train as hard to burn the same amount of fat. You'd burn more if you had more muscle, if that makes sense. Okay. So, guys and girls, what you eat and how much you eat dictates if you're in a surplus, maintenance, or deficit. Like we know that. That's elementary stuff. Okay. And if you don't know that, then Google's your friend. You can Google what a caloric surplus, caloric maintenance, or a caloric deficit is. And you can find your answer in 5 seconds. I promise. All right. So once you become aware of sort of like which caloric range that you're in, or at least once you become aware of where you decide to change your caloric range, if you want to burn fat, if you want to build muscle, okay, once you understand that, you like now have the information that's required to control how and what you eat to get your desired results. And in this case, today we're speaking about burning fat. Okay. And once you get this through your head, you'll understand why the answer to the question of, should I do more cardio and training or should I eat less? Like it's going to make sense to you when I lay it out to you. If you understand that food gives you energy, it helps you build muscle and can ultimately help you burn fat because again, the more muscle you have on your frame, the higher your BMI goes. And your BMI is your basal metabolic, or sorry, your BMR, basal metabolic rate. So your ability to burn fat in a rested state, your ability to burn fat, just literally not doing anything, and that's just simply because muscle is more calorically expensive than fat. The more muscle you have on your frame, the more energy it costs to keep you there, right? And your body's going to consume what for energy? Calories. And where do calories come from? Food. So if you can build more muscle with food, that's a good thing because the more muscle you have, the more fat you'll burn effortlessly, right? Which means that if you cut away the food and if you give yourself less food in hopes to burn more fat, that's cool. You're going to lose weight because you're eating less food, or even more weight because you're in an aggressive caloric deficit. But here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the kicker. All right. And this is what's going to make everything sort of make sense when I lay it out. All right. So I've talked about food and cardio respectively. Which one's going to help you burn fat and keep it off? All right. So which one is actually going to help you burn fat and keep it off? If you are leaning more towards, doing more cardio, more physical activity, and you think, that's going to do the thing for you, cool. If you think that eating less food is going to do the thing for you and just, training hard, or, not even training at all, you just want to eat like nothing pretty much, which is what I would consider an extreme caloric deficit. Let's break it down here. Okay. If you endure an aggressive calorie deficit and lose like a bunch of weight, which will happen if you're eating very little, you lose a bunch of weight in a little bit of time. This is what's going to happen, right? You lose like ridiculous amount of weight in such a short period of time, and let me tell you this: the ugly truth is you're going to rebound. Rebounding. What's a rebound? Well, honestly, guys and girls, let's look at it like this. So when you're dieting super strict, okay, and you're giving yourself pretty much rabbit food, you're not giving yourself foods that you need to I guess foods that would fill you up, and you're eating way too, like, you're under eating. Okay, so like you're in an aggressive calorie deficit, which is like 1,800 even calories under what would be required for your maintenance level. Okay, you will lose a bunch of weight. It will fall off very quickly, but you'll rebound. And so rebounding is essentially when you give up that super strict diet, which I don't blame you for, because it's fucking like damn near impossible to eat almost nothing every single day in this, with I guess the intention to lose weight. You're gonna definitely feel low on energy, not just in the gym, but everywhere. Like you're just not going to be performing optimally. You're going to be weaker. You're going to feel weaker. You're going to look like you're suffering, right? And that's not good, because the moment that you hop off of that strict diet, which any normal human being will, because we don't, like, if you do anything that strict, it's not sustainable. You can't, it just does not work. It doesn't last. The first thing that's going to happen is your weight's going to come back. All of your hard-earned progress is now lost, meaning you'll gain every pound of fat back, and if not that, then more. Okay, that's what a rebound is. A rebound is when your body decides to rebound, literally, and gain back the fat that you worked so hard to get rid of. And why does this happen? Well, it's because of your diet, your inability to stick with something consistent. I mean, let's say that you were sticking with that horrible diet of being in an extremely, low caloric deficit, right? If you're able to withstand that, cool. You feel weaker, you look weak, the weight will come off and stay off. But when we're talking about like your actual frame, like your body, you'll feel weak and you likely won't be healthy. You won't have a proper balance of nutrients and macronutrients, as well, micro and macronutrients as well, to keep your body, functioning optimally, to keep you energized, to keep you healthy, right? Because you're literally starving yourself if you're going through an extremely aggressive caloric deficit. And again, that's not even considering training. If you train, you're going to notice that it just is way more difficult to do when you are suffering and not feeding yourself. Okay. So there's that. That's the rebound. And on the other hand, if you're just in like a simple slight calorie deficit instead of an aggressive one, it's essentially one that doesn't make you feel like you're starving to death. Not only will you, essentially feel better because you aren't starving, but you'll also burn fat and build muscle at the same time. Again, this ties into what I said earlier, guys and girls. Okay. This means the food will actually be serving you, because it'll be giving you the energy required to burn the calories in the gym. Okay. Right. And essentially throughout your entire day, you'll have enough energy just to function, just to think correctly. Right. You won't be suffering if you're eating a good amount of food. You won't have like short-term memory or like a cloudy head, and you won't have a bad relationship with food if you're eating enough. Right. And you can still eat enough and be in a caloric deficit. That's the point here. You don't have to be in an aggressive caloric deficit, just a slight one, 150, 200 calories under your required maintenance. And again, as I said earlier, if you don't know what a maintenance surplus or deficit is, you can Google that. Your answer is there in 5 seconds, or you can check out any of these the other podcast episodes that I have here, and I talk about them sometimes. All right, so you can check that out. Also, guys and girls, if we understand that the more muscle you have on your frame, the easier it is for your body to burn fat, that means eating more food, which essentially is going to help you convert that food into energy, which is going to let you spend that extra energy in the gym to create more muscle, is the way. Because not only are you going to be able to burn the fat off, I'll be honest with you, it does take a little bit longer to burn the fat off when you're in a slight caloric deficit as opposed to an aggressive caloric deficit, but it's more sustainable because you're not starving every day, which means that once you get down to that goal weight, you're actually able to keep the fat off because you don't have to stop eating that clean way because you don't feel like you're starving and it feels sustainable, and the foods that are in it are foods that you like, and that's the key here. All right, but to answer the question, which is better, to do more physical work like cardio and training, or to eat less food, guys and girls? The answer is to do cardio and be in a caloric deficit. So cardio and training, be in a slight caloric deficit, not an aggressive one. Okay. Because while you're training, you're going to be burning fat anyway. And cardio is going to help you burn fat anyway. But it's not only for fat, as we talked about earlier on, or for fat loss earlier on. So you got those two things working in your favor, your caloric deficit, your cardio, and then you got your training. Right. So three things that are helping you burn fat. But the whole key here is to make it all balanced and to make it all sustainable, so that once you get down to that point, as you hit that goal, the goal weight that you actually wanted to hit, you don't feel like you have to suffer to get there, and you feel like you can actually continue eating the way that you've been eating to retain those gains that you've actually worked so fucking hard for. Does that make sense to you? Let me know if that makes sense to you. Okay, guys and girls, keep off the fat. That's essentially what this is going to do for you. It's going to help you keep off the fat, not just burn it and lose it. Because if that's your main thing here, if you want to like lose 20 pounds in like 2 weeks and you want to starve yourself to do that, good for you. Right. But the fat's going to come back. You will rebound because you're not going to eat like that for the rest of your life, period. Right. The only way to keep the fat off is to allow yourself to create more muscle, which you're going to need more energy for, which comes from more calories. But you still need to make sure that those quote unquote more calories are respecting your caloric deficit requirements. And again, a slight caloric deficit, 150 to 200 calories under what's required for maintenance. Anything more than that, you really begin to push it, and then you're likely going to feel like you're starving, which isn't the ideal thing. That's not what you want. That makes sense? Again, you want to keep your body in a state where it burns fat while you're resting. And the only way to do that is to add more muscle. And we add muscle by training. We add muscle by, or at least allow our body to convert our foods more efficiently into muscle by also doing cardio, right? So we can metabolize the foods better. All right. In conjunction with that, we are in a slight caloric deficit. So I guess the answer here is a little bit of both, but you never want to be doing an aggressive caloric deficit. You never ever want to be doing that because it just doesn't last. Like, you'll be able to lose so much weight so quickly, but the moment that you stop eating that way, everything comes back, and it's just like, what was the point? Like, what was the point? It's so it becomes anticlimactic at that point because you hit your goal, and then 2 months later, you're back to where you started, and that's not the goal with health and fitness. You want to be and stay healthy for as long as possible, which means keeping the fat off and not just getting it off. All right. Now it's time for you guys and girls to take action. If you like this episode, share it out with a friend. I hope I was able to deliver a valuable experience to you guys and girls today. Thank you so much for your precious time and attention. Also, if you want to lose 25 pounds or more and become a part of the Natural Nomad Academy, feel free to DM me and I'll see if you'd be a good fit. Honestly, I'm not going to monetize this podcast with ads because I respect your time. And I simply want you to get the value straightforward. All right. Also, don't forget to share and screenshot this podcast to your IG story to show support. It would go a really, really long way, and I'd really appreciate that. All right, people, let's embrace your inner meathead together. It's been nice chatting. Hope you like what today's topic was about. Natural IFBB Pro Matt Butale signing out. Boom. All right, folks. I appreciate the comments here on TikTok. What's up? And Instagram. Thanks for everyone that joined. Jimmy, what's good? Jimmy says balanced approach IMO. Personally, I like more food. More activity. Exactly. That's the way. I wouldn't say like more food and more activity. I would just say have a balance in between it, because not a lot of people have the time, to spend all that time in the gym. So, you could dip a little bit, under with your calories. I'd say no more than 200 under maintenance. And that's like the most you could really push for without feeling like you're starving. It's still creating an optimal amount of muscle, while also doing, a fair amount of cardio. It's going to keep you nice and in shape. That's going to be solid. So if that's something that you think will work for you, definitely try it out. Again, guys and girls, I make this podcast for you, right? I'm here to answer questions that you have that you probably haven't asked or you might ask. So, again, this one's for you. But that's it. That's all, guys and girls. I appreciate all of you guys. Ooh, we got 1,000 likes on TikTok. Respect. I'll be back again tomorrow with not the last, with another podcast episode for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have the best motherfucking Tuesday ever. We are out. Boom.